The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Ramesh Piris and read by Chandima Veerakorn. The headlines. His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, celebrating the 72nd Army Day, requests all citizens to reject pessimism and extend their earnest support to govern the country under one law. The Prime Minister to meet teachers and discuss salary anomalies. The accelerated vaccination drive continues across the island today. The daily COVID cases count moves to 726. The Consumer Affairs Ministry to announce final prices tomorrow. The State Minister of Bus Transport Services and Train Compartments say that interprovincial public transportation services will resume from October 21st. His Holiness Pope Francis appoints new bishop for Kandy. World Mental Health Day is celebrated today. On international news, the Taliban urge US to lift freeze on assets. And in sports news, it's cricket. SLC Major Club 50 over cricket tournament to commence in late October. Local stories in detail. His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa participated as the chief guest of the 72nd Army Day anniversary celebration agenda held at the Saliyapura Gajaba Regiment regimental headquarters in Anuradhapura for the first time in the history. The commander of the army, Major General Shamendra Silva, also extended his sincere thanks to His Excellency for accepting the invitation as the chief guest to grace the occasion as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. The head of state addressing the occasion requested all citizens to extend their earnest support to govern the country, rejecting pessimism and under one law. To mark the occasion, record number of promotions were bestowed on 576 officers and 10,368 other ranks in the army. The Chief of Defence Staff at this milestone anniversary paid tribute to the memory of all fallen war heroes and remembering injured war heroes, retired war heroes, serving officers, all ranks and members of the civil staff. This year's commemoration assumed greater significance owing to the participation of His Excellency the President, who himself was a distinguished former Keterian, alias the first incumbent president ever groomed by the prestigious Gajaba Regiment. Among other participants was retired General Kamal Gunaratne, the Secretary of Defence, who is also a reputed member of the Keterian family, who dedicated his efforts fearlessly to defend the country. Meantime, to mark the 72nd Army Day anniversary and inauguration ceremony to plant 10,000 kumbuk tree saplings across the country commenced at the entrance to the Army headquarters in Battaramulla, with the participation of the Ministry of Environment, Mahinda Amravira. Plans have been made to hold a discussion tomorrow between the Prime Minister and teachers and principals, trade unions, pertaining to teachers and principals' salary anomalies. The Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, said one representative of each trade union has been informed to attend the discussion. Meanwhile, the Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Stalin, said he believes a solution will be provided to issues faced by teachers and principals during the discussion due to be held with the Prime Minister. The expeditious vaccination campaign conducted by the Ministry of Health is in operation today. Over 107 vaccination clinics are in operation across the island. More details on vaccination clinics operating in your local area and the type of vaccines administered can be obtained by visiting the official website of the Health Ministry, www.health.gov.lk. Meanwhile, 108,573 individuals were administered vaccine doses against the coronavirus yesterday. Hence, 12,123,409 individuals have been fully vaccinated in Sri Lanka thus far, while a total of 26,791,620 vaccine doses have been administered. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far a total of 14,684,749 people have received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and 12,255,004 have received the second dose. The Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry reports that another 184 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 in Sri Lanka, moving the daily total of new cases to 726. This brings the total number of confirmed cases of coronavirus reported in the country to 525,663. As many as 479,629 recoveries and 13,296 deaths have been confirmed in Sri Lanka since the outbreak of the pandemic. The Epidemiology Unit's data showed that 32,738 active cases are currently under medical care. The official death toll from the virus outbreak in the country stands at 13,296. The State Minister of Vehicle Regulation, Bus Transport Services and Train Compartments, Dilum Amunugama, says that interprovincial public transportation services will resume from the 21st of October. The government recently extended the interprovincial travel restrictions until October 21st in a bid to keep the pandemic situation under control. Buses returned to operations after the quarantine curfew was eased, however, only within provincial limits. Train services are yet to resume. His Holiness Pope Francis has appointed Bishop Valens Mendes as the new bishop of the Kandy Diocese. Bishop Valens Mendes will also function as the apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Chilau. Pope Francis made the appointment following the retirement of former Bishop of Kandy, Joseph Vianney Fernando. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
Continuing with more local stories, the theme of this year's World Mental Health Day, set by the World Federation of Mental Health, is Mental Health in an Unequal World. Presented by the World Federation of Mental Health, the World Mental Health Day falls on the 10th of October every year. The goal is to help raise mental health awareness. Each of us can make a contribution to ensure that people dealing with problems concerning mental health can live better lives with dignity. The dilemma every year, 1 adult in 4, along with one child in 10, will have a mental health issue. These conditions can profoundly affect literally millions of lives, affecting the capability of these individuals to make it through one day, to sustain relationships, and to maintain work. The number of individuals arrested on charges of violating quarantine regulations has increased to 80,475. The arrests were made since the 30th of October last year. Police said 115 individuals were arrested during a 24-hour period ending at 6 this morning. Meanwhile, 2,372 persons entering and exiting the Western Province were inspected yesterday. The police said 327 persons who attempted to cross checkpoints with no valid reason were turned back. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, celebrating the 72nd Army Day, requests all citizens to reject pessimism and extend their earnest support to govern the country under one law. The Prime Minister to meet teachers and discuss salary anomalies. The accelerated vaccination drive continues across the island today. The daily COVID cases count moves to 726. the Consumer Affairs Ministry to announce final prices tomorrow. The State Minister of Bus Transport Services and Train Compartments says that interprovincial public transportation services will resume from October 21st. His Holiness Pope Francis appoints new bishop for Kandy. World Mental Health Day is celebrated today. That ends local news.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
And on the main news story, the State Ministry of Consumer Affairs says the price revisions for milk powder, liquefied petroleum gas, wheat flour and cement will be determined tomorrow. Issuing a statement, the State Ministry said importers have requested to increase the price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder of LP gas by 1,000 rupees, a 180 rupees increase in cement and a 20 rupees price increase for wheat flour. A senior official of the ministry said there were delays in the State Ministry publishing the revised prices as they did not consent to the request of importers. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
And in Watchlight, the Army Commander General Shavendra Silva says school children will be administered the Pfizer jab from the 21st of October. He said that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had instructed the authorities to initially vaccinate students aged between 18 and 19 years. The children will be given the jab at their respective schools. That ends Watchlight.
World News.
Headlines of the world news. The Taliban urge US to lift freeze on assets. Iraq to hold parliamentary election today. Texas abortion law reinstated after 2-day halt. Taliban representatives have asked the United States to lift the freeze on the Afghan government's assets held in the US. A senior Taliban official said acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi held face-to-face talks with a delegation of the U.S. Department of State in Qatari capital Doha on Saturday. The official said the full-fledged meeting between the two sides was the first since the U.S. completed its troop withdrawal from Afghanistan on the 30th of August. During the talks, the Taliban also asked the U.S. for humanitarian support and other forms of cooperation. Voters in Iraq will cast ballots today in a parliamentary election. The focus is on whether a stable government can be formed to restore security in light of the declining U.S. involvement in the country. More than 3,200 candidates are contesting the 329 seats. The election was initially scheduled for May of next year, but it was moved forward in response to huge anti-government demonstrations in 2019, protesting high unemployment rates and corruption. The U.S. Appeals Court has temporarily reinstated a highly restrictive abortion law in the state of Texas 2 days after it was suspended by a federal judge. The law, which took effect in Texas last month, prohibits abortion once cardiac activity is detected in a fetus, about 6 weeks into a pregnancy. President Joe Biden's administration sued Texas over the law, arguing it was unconstitutional. In response, the federal district court judge issued an injunction on Wednesday. However, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit struck down the lower federal court ruling on Friday and temporarily suspended the judge's order blocking the abortion ban. To end the world news, the headlines again. The Taliban urge U.S. to lift freeze on assets. Iraq to hold parliamentary election today. Texas abortion law reinstated after 2-day halt. That ends world news.
And now in development news.
The Ministry of Agriculture has taken steps to set up 6 small-scale milk processing centres with the aim of providing a glass of milk to students in rural schools. These milk processing centres are being built with French aid of €13.9 million. Each centre will process 5,000 litres of milk per day and 30,000 litres of milk per day will be processed in the 6 centres. This was revealed at a recent discussion chaired by Agriculture Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage to review the progress of proposed milk processing centres in Vennappua, Attanagalla, Wariyapola, Polonnaruwa and Navala Pittiya. 5 milk collection centres will be set up affiliated to each of these milk processing centres. This will enable about 12,000 dairy farmers in the area to sell their milk at a reasonable price and increase their monthly income. The minister said 450 million rupees has been provided for each of these milk processing centres. That ends development news.
Sports news.
And on sports news, it's cricket. Sri Lanka Cricket has decided to conduct this season's major club 50-over tournament from later this month. The tournament will feature 26 teams and will begin on the 27th of October. SLBC in a statement said the tournament will be held in accordance with the health guidelines issued by the government. Meanwhile, the England and Wales Cricket Board says England Men's Ashes series in Australia this winter will go ahead subject to several critical conditions. England had concerns over their families being allowed to travel, quarantine and bubble arrangements amid the coronavirus pandemic. The 5-test series is due to begin on 8th December and end on 18th January. Issuing a statement, the ECB said that over recent weeks, excellent progress has been made in moving forward on the Men's Ashes Tour. England will name an Ashes squad in the coming days. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
This was news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Foreign Ministry says Laksala Handicrafts has signed a master franchise agreement with Sala Enterprises. Sala Enterprises, as a master franchise for Laksala in Japan, currently decided to collaborate with M&J retail outlets that carry 100% Sri Lankan products as the first franchisee to carry Laksala Handicrafts. Sala Enterprises is planning to launch a Japanese-language Laksala products website custom-made to the Japanese consumers. The Sri Lanka mission is seeking more partners to retail and distribute over 50,000 Sri Lankan items that Laksala carries within Japan. Any interested parties wanting to distribute Laksala products in Japan, please contact the Commercial Secretary of this mission, Kapila J. Kumara. .com at lankaembassy.jp. kapilaj.kumara.com at lankaembassy.jp. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, the Government Information Department announced the public and private sector experts who have been appointed to the committee to formulate Sri Lanka's national policy on digital banking, blockchain and cryptocurrency mining. Sri Lanka plans to draft acts, rules and regulations required to attract investments into digital banking and blockchain technology and to facilitate cryptocurrency mining companies to invest in Sri Lanka. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Weather report.
And finally, on the weather report, the Department of Meteorology says that showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabragamur, central, northwestern, northern and north-central provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabragamur, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. Wind speed can increase up to 50 km per hour at times in the western slope of the Central Hills, northern and north-central provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the sea areas extending from Kankasanturai to Hambantota via Puttalam, Colombo and Galle. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. His Excellency the President, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, celebrating the 72nd Army Day, requests all citizens to reject pessimism and extend their earnest support to govern the country under one law. The Prime Minister to meet teachers and discuss salary anomalies. The accelerated vaccination drive continues across the island today. The daily COVID cases count moves to 726. The Consumer Affairs Ministry to announce final prices tomorrow. The State Minister of Bus Transport Services and Train Compartments says that interprovincial public transportation services will resume from the 21st of October. His Holiness Pope Francis appoints new bishop for Kandy. World Mental Health Day is celebrated today. And in news overseas, the Taliban urge US to lift freeze on assets. In sports news, it's cricket, SLC Major Club 50-over cricket tournament to commence in late October. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.